Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rants alongside Tommy Krysan, TK over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. I am coming to you from a undisclosed location, even though that's an Uno Dos Tacos truck behind me there in the red, which I did have their breakfast taco this morning. Very, very good. Um, we're brought to you by Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, the Baton Rouge Rougarou, and most importantly, La Bears Casino, where they have lots of great entertainment lined up for you this fall. Not only the great concert series, but they have a comedy series on Thursday nights over at the Edge Lounge. Live music as well on Fridays and Saturdays. Karaoke after comedy on Thursdays. A lot going on over at La Bears Casino in Baton Rouge, the place to be before and after LSU football games. It is a party when they win over there after the games. TK, just want to appreciate all the folks that pinch hit for us for me this week. The Derry Beckwith and Joel Davis and who else do we have?
Raymond Fudge.
Yeah, please appreciate Raymond Parks, the president of the Louisiana Sports Writers Association over in Lafayette. He filled in as well. And back from the land of Miami, went down there to go see Louis Garcia and Nemesio Gonzalez and some other friends of mine and play a little golf and just kind of take a little mini vacay. But I do have a good story for you, Tommy.
I'm curious. Let's hear it.
So two things happened. One, I did play a round of golf on Monday at the Biltmore Hotel, Biltmore Golf Course. First round of golf I've played since I went to Scotland in early mid-May, and played like that the first 9 holes. It was pretty brutal. I shot a 53 on the front 9. It was dusting off the cobwebs and everything. Got it together a little better and shot a 44 on the back, which is more like where I should be. So anyway, lost to Louis Garcia by 1 stroke. He played terrible, considering it's his home course and he plays it all the time. He should have done better. But anyway, had a good time. It's super hot down there, just like it is here. The track was slow, but it is what it is. We had a good time catching up with friends and stuff. Saw a U.S. congressman on the course who actually sits next to Clay Higgins, a Republican congressman from Florida, who actually sits next to Clay Higgins, District 3 congressman from Louisiana, up in D.C. We chatted for a little bit. But on one of the nights, I think it was Tuesday night, went to Neme's Gastro Bar, which a friend of mine has a great restaurant bar. It's on Coral Way near downtown Miami. It's a little small place. It's a local spot, but it's got fantastic food. Live music 7 nights a week, usually between like 10 and midnight, 10 and 1 o'clock. And then they play like a DJ for the next couple hours. And the place doesn't even close till like 3, 4 in the morning. But so I'm in there. I go with Neme to go have dinner. Well, then we end up going to watch this girl singer who performs every Tuesday night. She's amazing. We go to watch her perform. We get to the restaurant, his place, I don't know, 10:30, 11 o'clock, let's say. And Cuba Gooding Jr., the actor, is there with a lady friend. They're at the bar. It's not that many people there. It's on a Tuesday night. I mean, it might have been, I don't know, 40, 50 people in the whole place at this point. And it's Cuba Gooding Jr. Show Me the Money, Jerry, from Jerry Maguire, the movie. Did you see that movie, Tommy?
Yes, I did.
Okay, that's one of the few you've seen. Good. You're not a movie buff, although you're a Netflix fan, and we'll talk about that. But so Cuba Gooding Jr. is in there, and he won an Academy Award, by the way, for supporting actor in that role on Jerry Maguire, and he's been in tons of other movies. His better days are behind him as an actor. I mean, he did a lot of stuff in the 90s and 2000s, not as much recently, although he did do something. He played O.J. Simpson in a made-for-TV docuseries on FX, I believe, around 2016, 17, and actually was nominated for Best Supporting Actor or Best Actor in a TV drama or something. But anyway, really cool. We talked to him. We got a picture with him. I mean, it was super pleasant. Not many folks came up to him, bothered him, or wanted pictures, but he did it. He was there for hours. So I go up on stage at some point. The girl singer is a friend of mine and friend of Neme's, and so she calls me up and I do a song. I do Easy by the Commodores. I do a song with the band. And all right, so that was cool. Went up there, did a song, went back, sitting down at the edge of the bar, talking to Neme. Well, Cuba Gooding Jr. walks over, taps me on the back. I turn around, it's him. He shows me his phone, and he says, "Hey, I texted Lionel Richie after you were singing." And he shows me the phone where he texts Lionel Richie, and he says, "Hey, I just found your biggest fan, in Miami, a white guy down here in Miami that I met." And Lionel Richie responds back, "Ha ha ha, what's up, buddy? How you been?" That kind of thing. Just a little short interaction, but I'm like, he's showing me that, like, hey, I told Lionel Richie about you, and that in itself was cool. I'm like, oh, that's awesome, I'm freaking Lionel Richie, that's amazing. He says, let's take a selfie. So we literally take a selfie and send it to him, and Lionel Richie hearts it. So
but you got to get Cuba and Lionel to throw out the first pitch at a Rougarou game next year. And then they could sing. Lionel could sing. At the 7th inning stretch, let's let Lionel sing all night long or something.
Yeah, don't think that's going to happen. But look, there's a guy who Lionel Richie for me is like a top 3 all-time guy. If I could have anybody at a party or something, or anybody give me a concert ticket, Lionel Richie's a top 3 for me. So that was super cool. Seen him in concert a couple of times in my life. But a little side note, didn't know this. Cuba Gooding Jr., the actor from Jerry Maguire, his first kind of public, super big appearance, I guess something that is, one of the big moments in his life to springboard his career, or first major public thing. He was a backup dancer, break dancer, one of the probably many break dancers at the 1984 Olympics, performing with Lionel Richie when Lionel Richie was the headliner of like the closing or opening ceremonies at the Olympics. He was one of the backup dancers for Lionel Richie in 1984.
About 25 years ago, he hung out in the Cadillac Cafe one night. He was in town for something. And he called, Big Anthony Gallo, and got him a little area where nobody would bother him. This is when he was hot, He wanted to bother him, whereas, when you said the other night, nobody would really bother him. But I did, say hello that night or whatever, but, I didn't get, he didn't text Lionel Richie that I was there, okay? And in fact, Stephen Miller just said that, hello, is it Bronny you're looking for? They changed the words to that one song. No, but that's a great story. No, that's like really, that's up there. That's in the all-time top 10 stories. And you and I have a lot of stories. There's no doubt about that in the baseball world, and not related to baseball, but that's one of them. I like it.
By the way, another side note. The lady he was hanging out with was Robert De Niro's granddaughter.
Okay.
Robert De Niro's got an actor, Tommy, a famous actor.
Ronnie, can I still hang out with you?
Okay. But she was not very cute, I might add. But it looked like Robert De Niro in a dress. But anyway, but that was pretty cool. All right, let's talk a little sports. Enough about Cuba Gooding Jr. Show Me the Money, which, by the way, super one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm excited for you. Your life has changed in the last couple of weeks. People may not know to what extent, but I mean, it's been game changing, and I've been telling you about it. And I hate to pat myself in the back and pull a rotator cuff, but I am, and say that I was right. I knew this would happen. Just like I knew when my mother got on Facebook 10, 12 years ago, she would be a superstar Facebooker, and she is. Now you're on Netflix, and it has changed your life. You've discovered documentaries that are multi-year old, but for you, it's like they came out yesterday.
Well, I tell you, I watched Facing Nolan. It's about Nolan Ryan. It's about an hour and 40 minutes long. It's not multiple episodes like Quarterback or Full Swing, but I'm telling you, I couldn't turn it off. I mean, my phone's ringing. I'm like, I can get to that later. I mean, it was, and being a baseball guy and allegedly a pitcher at one point, it was amazing. And the biggest takeaway from it is the day Nolan Ryan retired about 30 years ago, a little less than 30 years ago, he owned 51 Major League Baseball records. As we sit here today, August 18th, he still owns 51 Major League records. It's not like 20 of them went away or got broke.
Right.
I mean, it's amazing. I would highly recommend anyone and everyone to watch Facing Nolan. You will be glad you did.
Yeah, don't you think that Nolan Ryan is basically John Wayne and cleats?
Yeah, absolutely. That's well done.
Yeah, if you're a fan of, I mean, obviously, if you're a baseball fan, you're gonna be amazed about Nolan Ryan. But even if you're not a baseball fan, you watch this documentary, it's like, wow. And even better. I mean, you're older than me. You were there. You remember the 70s, Nolan Ryan. I don't remember the 70s. I was too young. I was born in 1972. So I'm more of an 80s, Nolan Ryan guy. The 70s were his greatest era, as a pitcher.
Well, talk about stories, Ronnie. I picked up Willie Stargell in New Orleans to bring him to Hammond. He was like a guest speaker, the student government thing, speaking thing. And, I was like 24, 25 years old, just got done playing ball, and I drove with Willie Stargell to Hammond back to New Orleans. But I asked him, kind of young and dumb, I said, man, what was the toughest pitch you ever saw? And he said, Nolan Ryan's fastball. He didn't even hesitate. Nolan Ryan's fastball. I said, what was the next toughest? He goes, Nolan Ryan's curveball. He said that's the two. He said the best thing about going against Nolan Ryan is when you had a 7:00 game about 7:45, you were in the 6th inning.
Yeah, so good. Check that out on Netflix. Tommy's like over there just Tommy, when you hit that search bar, you can type sports documentaries, and you can.
Yeah, no, I'm working it out. I'm getting good at it now.
Right. All right. One of the things that you and I didn't get a chance to talk about because I was out of town this week until last night, and that is the New Orleans Saints, man. And what they did on Sunday against the Chiefs, and which was really cool. I never thought Patrick Mahomes would start the game. He did. I mean, it was the best. Okay, I'm gonna do the hyperbole thing. It was the greatest single quarter of preseason football in Saints history, the first quarter of the Chiefs game. And I know that's ridiculous to say, but I really believe it. Like, the little bit that they went against the true first team, they were fantastic. Carr did everything you wanted him to do. Kamara did it was just, they took advantage of every opportunity. Like, it was perfect. They were perfect in the first quarter.
It really was. And the dome was jumping. I know you were down there. I mean, it was a big crowd. They were into it. They're glad to see the black and gold on the field. And I think it gave Saints fans reasons to be optimistic. It wasn't a game that you go, oh, man, they got some big-time question marks. And it's preseason football. And but, no, it was, winning is an objective, but, let these coaches have other agendas. That's why Andy Reid was throwing the ball with a minute left in the game. He kneels on it, they win. But he wanted to see a young quarterback try to execute a play. There are other objectives and agendas by all of the teams in preseason football, but it was, a win's a win. And Saints fans, they love their Saints at preseason, but so what?
Yeah, and look, honestly, I think most fans are. If the Saints would have lost, I think the fans would still be excited. It's a little cherry on top to get the win. And I don't think that the kicker, I can't remember his name, the kicker who made the 31-yard game-winning field goal, I don't think he's going to make the team anyway. Will Lutz, from all reports, is having a good camp and doing what he needed to do. They brought in another kicker to kind of push him because he was not as good as he normally was coming off that injury last year. But all indications that he's back. He's back to the Will Lutz that we've kind of known for the last 2 years. But and I think folks and football fans and Saints fans and everybody are smart enough to know that, look, it's the first half that matters, particularly early on in these preseason games when you don't have, many of the players that were playing in the fourth quarter aren't even going to make the team. But they showed everything they wanted to show, and including, Derek Carr had a little spry in his step. He's not the, Jameis Winston, when he got in the game, he took the shot down the field, dropped the dime. I mean, that's what Jameis Winston does. He pushes it downfield. What does Derek Carr do? Derek Carr is a, West Coast offense kind of guy, dumping, 10 yards in and be able to move in the pocket and hit the check downs. So this was a great sign for the New Orleans Saints. And what's interesting, and I heard where Matt Moscona said this, and it was online, I saw online, and it's a great point. The over under for the Saints this year, Tommy, is what, 9.5? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, 9.5.
Yes.
Whereas last year was 8.5. Okay, even with and last year I got burned. I took the over and lost when Ingram stepped out of bounds in Tampa and they had led to the comeback. That got me. Okay, I lost that. But as far as the Saints are concerned, 10 wins looks really good. And I'm not saying that because of the preseason. I'm saying that because of their division, which the Saints are on paper are clearly the best team in that conference. They have the best quarterback in that conference. And as Matt pointed out and did a great job of explaining, they avoid all but really one of the top 10 or 12 quarterbacks in the NFL this year, as far as, in their season schedule. And the NFL is a quarterback-driven league. And so, yeah, the Saints are staring down the barrel of 10-7. Looks really, really good.
I agree completely. And the set schedule is soft, as Matt pointed out, and you and a lot of people have noticed that. So, it's reason to be real optimistic. It could be one of them seasons for the Saints. We'll see. Trey Blossman mentioned on our podcast yesterday, talking sports with TK, Carr's even a little more bowed up. If you look back at pictures from last year, the biceps are a little bigger, the shoulders seem a little wider. And I'm talking about, when he's walking at the practice facility without the pads on. It looked like he hit the weight room a little bit. He could be reinvigorated by the change of scenery. He went from the black and silver to the black and gold. He had 92,000 coaches and coordinators when he was with the Raiders organization. And maybe he just, maybe it's one of them things. Time will tell. But I think it's reason to think that.
By the way, he might be putting the cream on. Who knows? That's another one for you, Tommy, on Netflix that just came out with about Balco.
I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be checking that out.
Saw that on the flight back from Miami yesterday. Really, really good documentary on the whole Balco thing, and the guy's crazy who started it. It's really, really good.
Victor Conti.
Yeah, Victor Conti, and
I knew the guy's name. See, how about that? See?
Victor Conti's on the documentary. He talks about everything. One of the track athletes talks about everything. They also have the FBI who did the investigation talking about stuff. So it's really, really good. You learn everything you need to know about everything that went down in the 90s and the 2000s and the Balco steroid stuff. So all right, we move on from the New Orleans Saints, who super optimistic about them. And, of course, they're taking on a good Chargers team and a good quarterback in the scrimmage and preseason this weekend. Did you happen to catch – you got some homework to do if you haven't, Tommy. Sunday night, and you don't have to have cable. It's over the air. Louisiana Public Broadcasting this coming Sunday night. Let me get you the time. Hang on one second. It aired on Tuesday, Thursday, and then the last airing for a while is going to be this Sunday at 5 o'clock on Louisiana Public Broadcasting. Is a 2-hour Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame special. I urge folks, if you haven't DVR'd it, haven't watched it yet, do so this Sunday, 5 o'clock, LPB, 2-hour special that Chris Lecoq and the gang over at LPB worked on. It came out fantastic. It's been nothing but rave reviews. And while you're watching it, make a donation of some sort to LPB. That's how they know you love them, and that helps us get more Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame programming on the air. We move on to the LSU Tigers. The alumni will be in the house tomorrow. They invited all former LSU football players to the game tomorrow, the scrimmage that they're going to have. And this is kind of like the end of the end of one camp and the start of another.
Yeah, they're going to go about 60 to 70 players, according to Coach Kelly. All former players are invited to come check it out. That's going to end the fall camp, and then they'll really ramp up the preparations for Florida State and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that, get all the reports from all our colleagues in the media. But it's been very hot. They have used the indoor facility, but I'm getting a lot of good feelings, reading a lot of good reports, hearing a lot of good reports about this LSU football team. Now they're undefeated; they hadn't lined up yet, but there's some reasons to be optimistic. There, it might be a hell of a year for Tiger fans and Saints fans, and don't forget the high school kids. They're all ramping up with scrimmages this week and getting ready for Jamborees. But LSU football, I'm thinking this has got a really good chance to be a big year.
So the story of this week that a lot of people were talking about it with LSU football is Denver Harris, the transfer cornerback who's supposed to be, this is his second chance. This guy was a superstar out of high school. He's with LSU. Then he went to A&M, and he got kicked off the team. There were 3 players in late October of last year. There were freshmen that got caught smoking a marijuana vape pen in a bathroom stall in the A&M locker room after a game. They all 3 got suspended indefinitely. And so he transfers to LSU, and he's supposed to start. He's supposed to be a big part of what they're doing because they're super, super thin at that position in the secondary. They need those 5 player, they need him to be a guy. And unfortunately, you got an injury. You got him that's having some problems off the field. He was, not at practice, not in the team picture. Kelly's saying he's going to be back potentially this weekend. Listen, you don't want to give the power to the players from a standpoint of you don't want to be in a situation of need. You don't want to have to take a turd and keep him on your team if you don't want him to be. But this is one of those guys. Look, when Skip Bertman was the coach at LSU, he went above and beyond with Joey Bell, which later became Albert Bell. He literally kicked him off and took him back 20, 30 times throughout his time in Baton Rouge, which was 3 years. And it finally got to a point where they couldn't do it anymore. I don't know if Denver Harris he's not clearly at that point. Heck, he's only been at LSU a few months. But this is a guy that's proven the maturity thing is just probably something that's going to come later on in life. I'm sure he's going to look back when he's 30 years old and go, what the hell was I thinking when I was 18, 19, 20 years old? But here's a guy, unfortunately, that LSU is going to have to they're going to have to ride with. They need him, Tommy. And I hate to say that they need a player who fights in the locker room, fights on the field, showed tremendous immaturity and misjudgment last year when he gets caught smoking a weed pen in the locker room after a game. But LSU's in a situation where the lack of depth in the secondary is a super big concern, and he can help that in a tremendous amount of way.
Yeah, but I think, with Coach Brian Kelly, he's going to have to do some things and keep it between the lines, as they say, or they won't put him out there. I mean, Kelly's got to think about the individual, but more important is the team. And I think that be curious to see how that goes. Is he out there tomorrow in this scrimmage where they're going to run 60 to 70 plays? Is he out there, or what? They're not going to let him talk to the media. That's not going to happen. And then Kelly's going to get the question. So if he's not there, Kelly's going to get a question. If he is there, Kelly's going to get the question. So it's going to be talked about. I'm sure Coach Kelly's going to meet with the media after the scrimmage tomorrow. And we'll just have to see how it goes. It's something worth keeping an eye on because, as you pointed out, that's the position that, I don't want to say the weak spot, but that's the position that needs the most attention.
Well, there's no question that that's a super big thing that we'll be watching tomorrow. Tommy, real quick, 103 years ago in Upper Manhattan, it was a hazy, humid, intermittent light rain day in the 5th inning of a baseball game. It started at 3:00, and the ball was filthy and dirty and covered in tobacco juice, all the things you would expect from a baseball game 103 years ago. A guy by the name of, hang on, I'm going to get you his name. Carl May was the pitcher. And I'm trying to get you the name. Shortstop Ray Chapman, 29 years old, Cleveland Indians shortstop, a right-handed hitter batting .303, usually hitting the number 2 spot. What do you think he's famous for, Tommy, 103 years ago today?
Wow. I'm trying to think what it could be. I don't know the answer. I'm trying to think, what could it be?
Well, I'm going to tell you.
No, how about it? He had the best launch angle that year.
He was hit by a pitch and killed. And that's the batting helmet and all that started to to change some of the rules and how things were done at that point 103 years ago. Hit and killed at the Polo Grounds. 100. Yeah. Remember, look, the batting helmet, the double flapped or the single flapped ear batting helmet, that didn't really come into effect till probably the 70s, late 70s. I mean, most of the time it was that little single skull helmet. But 103 years ago, hit and killed in a baseball game. All right, TK, tell us about Tremonti's on the way out.
Well, fried catfish, top with crawfish etouffees, lunch special today. Look, get you ready for the weekend. I got tremendous wine selection, the bourbon, the vodkas, the tequilas. It's all behind me. The Chandler Reserve meats. Those steaks were fabulous. I had one the other evening. You got all the seafood you need, 20 different flavors of sausage, tailgating party platters as you get ready for football, high school, college, and NFL. Watching games, having people over, going to somebody's house. They can do it all at Tremontis.com. Stop by Jefferson Highway. If you come in here, you won't believe all the things they have here for you. You can get lunch, check everything out on Jefferson Highway, right down the street from Parkview Baptist Church and School. Tremonti's Meat Seafood. They've been doing it a long time. We're happy to say Mike's back in town and working a couple hours a day, feeling a lot better. He had a little thing that happened last month, so we all said some prayers for him, and he's doing much better, and that's good. I visited with him the other day, and so I'm going to see him again next week.
All right, folks, tune in tomorrow morning from 10 to noon on Sports Church Radio, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. To anywhere in the world, download that 104.5 app, and then check out Sunday night, 5 p.m. on Louisiana Public Broadcasting, a 2-hour Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame special, the last full airing of the full 2-hour show this Sunday, 5 o'clock. You don't want to miss it. For Tommy, I'm Ronnie. Have a good one, everybody.